All right, what is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning on into the Evergreen Motovlog channel. Today we got a good one for y'all. We're going to be talking about the 3 things that I dislike about the Honda Rebel 500. And yeah, this isn't really a video that's going to be meant to talk a lot of bad about this bike, because I really do like this motorcycle. But you know, if I had to come up with 3 things, these would probably be those top 3 things. So without further ado, stick on around and let's get into it. As we roll on up to the stop here. So the top 3 things that I dislike about the Honda Rebel, like I mentioned, this is a little bit of a difficult list for me to put together, if I'm being honest, because I really do like this bike. So this is coming from someone who has a positive opinion about the Rebel 500 that may or may not influence what my dislikes are. Jumping right into it, so I'd say my first dislike I have with the Rebel 500 is the lack of technology on the motorcycle. And don't get me wrong, there's actually a decent amount of technology when it comes to, you know, they've got the full digital display, LED lights on the bike, so you know, that's definitely newer features. But what I mean by technology is it's very bare bones, right? You got your throttle, your brake, clutch, lights, horn, and that's about it. And you know, I really would like to see an option maybe where, you know, the SE version could be a little bit of an updated motorcycle and you could have a couple more things. So what I'm thinking of specifically is maybe the SE version has a cruise control, and you know, maybe it has different riding modes, because I think all of those things could be really beneficial to somebody who doesn't really know what kind of bike they want and is new to riding, or you know, even a seasoned rider who, you know, likes the Rebel 500 for all of the great things that it is, right? Like, it's a great motorcycle, it's a fantastic bike, it has good power, it does awesome on the highway and all that kind of stuff. But you know, ultimately at the end of the day, having an option with a little bit more features would be really enticing, I think, to people who want to be a little bit more of a long-term Rebel owner. I think that it would be really nice to have kind of like a Rebel 2.0 version that had some more technology options. And I'm thinking as somebody who maybe started out on a larger bike or had a Rebel in the past and is looking to get back into it and own it for a longer period of time, having a bike that has some of those additional technology options would just be really nice, and it would be really cool to be able to experience those without having to upgrade and change to a different motorcycle. And I mean, I guess maybe the argument is that, you know, that's what the 1100 is for, but you know, some people don't want the 1100. You know, you got the price point, it's more expensive, and some people like the bike how it is and they just, you know, would like a couple different features. So I definitely think that's one of the things. I mean, I would love a Rebel 500 with cruise control and maybe different riding modes and, you know, a couple other technology features. And that kind of gets me into my second thing I dislike about the motorcycle. So we'll go with number 2 is the lack of options for the bike coming from the factory. And what I mean by that is, I know that there's a decent amount of factory accessories that you can get from Honda, and they seem like they're pretty good quality, but I'm talking more like kind of almost different versions of the Rebel 500. So like maybe, like I was saying, if maybe the SE version is a version that has more technology and has a few other features, it would be really nice to get a motorcycle, get a Honda Rebel that had an option to do forward controls. And I know that there's conversion kits, but it'd be just nice to have an option from the factory that is standard and you could choose. And I get probably why, you know, I know that the Rebel is a little bit more of a sportier cruiser. That's just another thing I was kind of thinking of is, you know, if there'd be other options from the factory that just kind of gives people more things they can do to the bike, right? Maybe you could have options from the factory that had a better seat, or, you know, like a Honda factory installed exhaust. I feel like maybe the exhaust is hard because they've got a lot of regulations around that. That might be off the table, but you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you have the option to get better tires from the start, so that you just don't even have to worry about having, you know, tires that are from the factory that wear out more quickly or whatever, you know. I'm a fan of having more options. It'd be kind of cool to be able to customize your bike a little bit more out of the gate, and then you can continue to put on aftermarket stuff. I mean, there's always going to be room for aftermarket parts. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking about when I was going through this list of, you know, it's pretty standard what you get out of the factory and there's not a whole lot of variety, and it would just be nice to have certain things professionally installed, or just, you know, if you could just do something a little bit different, you know, you could have like the Honda Rebel Tour or like something like that, you know. I don't know. And so with that, I would say dislike number 3 kind of comes down to, you know, it's maybe a little bit of a like and a dislike, because I know a lot of people like the Rebel 500 for this feature, but I kind of feel like it's just a little bit on the smaller side when I compare it to other motorcycles. When I go out riding and different things like that, I feel like it's a little bit on the smaller motorcycle side, and that's fine for somebody like me who's like not super tall, right? I'm average height. Like, the bike is totally fine, but for somebody who's taller, you know, it's a little bit of a smaller motorcycle, and you know, you like pull up to your other friends and you're like, wow, why is my bike so much smaller than yours? And with that, you know, I think it would be kind of nice to have, and I don't know if this would work with having different riding modes, if you could have different tunes on the motors. Like, maybe you could have a Honda Rebel Sport. I've said in the past that this bike is totally capable. It does a great job on the highway. It gets up to speed. You can get around cars, all that kind of good stuff. But if it just had a little bit more power, then I think it would just be one of those things where it would kind of go a long way, right? Like, a little bit would go a long way. If you had the ability to get up to speed just a little bit more quickly, and you know, maybe you could go even faster on the top end. So I know that you could probably mess with sprockets and gearing, and there's certain things you could do with the motor tuning and that kind of stuff, but it would just be nice, again, you know, I guess coming from the factory or out of the gate, just to have just a little bit more of that option, so that when you're out riding, you know, you can stretch it a little bit farther. So this bike is totally capable, don't get me wrong. I think it's a super capable motorcycle, and I have no problem. I'm going to go on the highway right now, and I have no problem on the highway with it and getting around traffic. Teeny bit more power, a little bit more size, bring your presence up, you know, have more of a presence on the street while you're riding. And you know, with that comes, you know, a little bit larger gas tank, not feeling so cramped. I do feel like I get cramped after super long rides, and I find myself wondering, man, do I really need a motorcycle with forward controls, or is it something else? Do I need to get a larger bike, or, you know, where I can stretch my legs out a little bit more, or something like that? So even though I'm average height, and I feel like when I sit on this bike and ride, I feel like it is literally the perfect size for me. I really do like the size of this bike in terms of sitting on it and flat footing and everything. But I wonder, when I go on super long rides and I do find myself getting cramped and, you know, like bending my legs up and all that kind of stuff, I really do wonder if maybe having a little bit more space and a little bit of a larger bike would really make a difference. So I don't know, like I said, those are kind of my 3 dislikes when I think about it. So, dude, oh, nice, brother. I like the passing motorcycle wave. Yeah, like I said, you know, those are just kind of the things I was thinking of as I was putting together this dislikes list. Again, this bike is awesome, and I really don't have a lot of bad things to say about it, so it was a little bit hard to come up with this list. But leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you have other dislikes, certain things I might not be considering, and what your thoughts are. I'm going to be doing a likes video probably in the future. A little bit of a spoiler alert, I am on my way right now to a test ride, to go do a test ride of the Honda Rebel 1100. So we're going to see how that goes, and I'm excited to share my thoughts and everything with you guys. But yeah, like I said, super capable bike, does a really great job. I'm super happy with it. But those are just a couple things that I feel like could be improved, you know. I mean, it really doesn't need to be a huge overhaul or anything like that. I think this is an awesome bike to learn on. I think it's an awesome bike that you can just ride as like a commuter motorcycle, as your daily rider. It's a quick bike, it does good on the highway, all those great things that you've heard me say multiple times on the channel before. So in no way do I think this bike is lacking. I love that truck. Favorite, yeah, 60, I think it's like 1961 or 62, or maybe it's just 60 all the way to 66 body style of Chevys. Whew, cutting it close there, blue car. Let's go. But yeah, those are, you know, those are just a couple of my dislikes. You know, if I just want to do a little quick recap. Dislike number one being that I wish there was a little bit more technology, or at least technology options, to where maybe you could pay an extra $1,000 and get the Rebel 500 SE and have that actually mean something. Not just be like a little headlight cowl and a new seat. Like, maybe you could have heated grips, and maybe you could have a cruise control and a tachometer. You know, you could just do those three things, and I'm sure people would pay more money for it, and you wouldn't have to do anything else to the motorcycle. So a little bit more technology, a couple more options from the factory being reason number two. Like I mentioned, I just would like to be able to customize my bike a little bit more, or at least have the option to customize my bike. I think having people, especially as a new rider, rely solely on the aftermarket is a little bit challenging, because you have to learn. And not saying that learning's bad. Learning is great, but you know, it might be overwhelming to some people, and then you're not really getting the bike you want right out of the gate. And then dislike number three being like, I wish the motorcycle, I wish the Rebel 500 was maybe like a slightly larger gas tank Rebel 550 or Rebel 600. If this specific motorcycle just had a teeny little bit more power, a little bit more acceleration, maybe like 55 horsepower instead of 45, I don't know. I think it would make a little bit of a difference. I think a little bit would go a long way, like I mentioned. But anyway, thank you all for sticking on around. Like I said, leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping on by. If you like motorcycle content, consider hitting the subscribe button. I've got tons of it both on the channel and headed your way, so smash the notification bell for future uploads and our live streams. And this is the Evergreen Motovlog channel, reminding y'all to ride safe out there, mind your surroundings, and I'll catch you all in the next one.